now, I would like to introduce us to our moderator for today, which is Mr. Indra Kurniawan. Mr. Indra, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, loud and clear.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Morning,
morning,
everyone.
sir. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, and happy to be able to be here again since last week, the opening.
We're so happy to have you here today. So,
And I hope the participant also be ready for their final show, right?
Yes. I
yes.
think they're prepared.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone is so prepared and so excited for this last day of ISSC. So I guess I will pass this session, this debate session to Mr. Indra Kurniawan. Thank you
Okay.
so much, guys. So see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and I'm now, formally taking over the session. Like you already know that we are going to divide this final debate into three segments. The first one is your repitching. So every group will have 5 minutes each to represent again about their idea. And then after that, we are entering the second segment, which is the question and answer segments. In this question and answer segments, but we are welcoming questions from audience and also the judges to ask a question to certain group. So before the before you're when you're asking questions, please also mention to which group you're addressing the question is. And then after the several questions, I think we are going to have for given what you call it, opportunity to every judges to ask a question to certain group. And then after that, we're entering the third segments, which is the depending segments. So each group will have one chance, like the committee already mentioned. Each group will have one chance to address to challenge another group within 3 minutes. After that, the groups will have another 2 minutes to consolidate to discuss, and then the defending group will get 4 minutes to explain more. I think more of the groups will this activity requires a little bit of strategy. So I hope that you are ready to do this and prepare yourself well, prepare your pitch well. And before we start, I'd like to every group, every presenter to test their mics. Is everything runs well? I think we're going to start from the first group first. Maybe Pasti Bisa, can you, each of you, check your mic? Is everything work well? Let me again tell you the list of the groups that are going to show. I would like to ask first Pasti Bisa group, and then after that B1, and last but not least Borju. Each of you will have 5 minutes to do the repitch. At the end of 5 minutes, I will cut your presentation. Hopefully you're finished at that time, but if you're not, then unfortunately I have to cut it. And then after that, we're moving to the next group. While the other group is presenting, I think it's better for you also to make some notes to prepare it for the stage 3, the last segment. Okay. Is every one of you ready, the participant? Pasti Bisa, B1, and Borju. Are you ready, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think I need the help from the committee to check for 5 minutes mark time, and then let us know. about the 5-minute marks. 5 minutes, I will start the count when you finish your first greetings to everyone. All right? So when you finish stating like good morning everyone or something like that, then I will start the countdown time. Okay, pasti bisa, floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. We are from Pasibisa. We want to deliver our solutions to achieve business and operational excellence of NH. So, from our limited strategies, we could come up with adoption rate increase up to 11 to 145% and also revenue growth up to 200%. So, how do we come up with the solutions? We use the ISCC framework and we found out that several problems occurs in NH. The first is inefficient process, lack of skills, and the literacy of the human resources, and also the funding of NH itself. And then we found out to do the critical to quality to break down into the main problems, which is the excellence in improvement using of several indicators. And then we also matched with the business model canvas of NH itself. Then we found that several gaps between the current and ideal condition of NH, which is the poor historical and manual records, lack of revenue stream, and also poor operation inefficiency by the workers itself. Then we create the main cause and also we create the solutions, which is the operational excellence and also the marketing communication for NH. The first is operational excellence and also marketing communications. We want to increase the funding and also business financing for NH through the first donation purposes that we use donation platforms such as Kita Bisa and also Rumah Zakat. Then we also want to increase the business financing through peer-to-peer lending platforms using investment because it still maintains the principle of Sharia. Then we also want to increase the literacy and skills of the human resources through the academic network that NH could create a network between NH and also the academic institutions, such as universities, that their students could also educate and literate the workers of NH itself, such as KKN. It will not only be beneficial for NH, but also for the students to learn from NH itself.
To help enhance money circulation and minimize the risk of students losing their money, cooperation system must be utilized. It's a platform for students to deposit their money with the return of profit share in the principle of Sharia. The dividend will be shared based on the amount of savings and amount of purchase as depicted in the diagram above, and the dividend will be shared by the end of the year. Next. To change the manual procedure of reports and payment and optimize the data input, we replace the manual input into a sustainable system through stock and bookkeeping system. To implement, we must install the bookkeeping software, then conduct software training, and prepare the backup storage. The system will cover all of the transactions, inventory logging, and automated reports. Next. We want to provide a giving back program to improve the capabilities of the community and provide basic needs of the students. First, we can utilize the intranets, a local or restricted communication network, so NH can share personal educations and information without outside interference. We also want to create a weekly workshop and community of knowledge sharing where new kind of information will be taught each week. And one of the main events is to teach local culture, especially craftsmaking of wayang soket, and students can sell or perform the art. Next. We want to give accessibility to customers for the payment and maintain the performance of the worker by programs and enhancement. We can activate digital payment to give easiness in payment for customers and give them new selection by making to-go meal that can be ordered from the restaurant in form of packaged meal. The last one is monitoring the workers' performance through Excel dashboard from customers' evaluation and surveys, which then will be distributed. And it also can maintain the product standard.
NH still faces a low exposure and acceptance in the local community. Therefore, we offer 3 marketing strategies. First is by emphasizing NH as a place that is close to the community, by offering local producers a chance to place their products in the store. This will then open up potential of indirect word of mouth marketing and also enhancing the variety and the value co-creation of the store. Second is to increase the loyalty from not only NH residents, but also its local surrounding. We recommend a customer membership program with the benefits of discounts, exclusively made products, regular gatherings, or even religious events. Third is to increase the awareness and exposure. We offer a strategy of conducting an online campaign by partnering with local or religious influencers. Next is a strategy to ensure the business sustainability through synergic and systemic partnership by building an advanced collaboration, especially to plasma farmers, those who owns the land but lack on the knowledge and distribution network, and how we'll guide them to produce raw materials, which then will supply to NH only. Therefore, supply availability will be guaranteed, and the students will be getting even more extensive practical skills from scratch. Therefore, this will ensure the sustainability for NH. Next. And as seen on the screen, we have planned the timeline with the implementation of the recommended strategies and how it would be able to gain significant expansion in its business. Next. And as seen on the screen, we have planned the timeline for the strategies. Next. And to gain the maximum value, we mapped some possible risks to be mitigated in the future. Next. Through our financial projection, with a total spend of 68.5 million, NHA will grow its revenue and be able to bring benefit per cost of 2.54 times in 1 year. Next. We believe that through implementing the recommended strategies, NHA will be able to increase exposure and the operational excellence and expand its collaboration, especially to the local farmers and the community. Therefore, NHA would still maintain its noble brand value, but also maintain its internal and stakeholders' prosperity and well-being. We are from Pasti Bisa. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Team Pasti Bisa. 13 minutes to go. 13 seconds to go. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you for the your repitch again. And then I would like to welcome the second team, B1. So B1, again, please check your prepare yourself and who will be the what do you call it? The share the screen, the one who's sharing the screen, and then like before, the 5 minutes countdown will be started after you done your greet to everyone.
Good morning, everyone. We are from B1 team, and here's our presentation. Did you know that not 100, not 1,000, there are over 3.2 million of orphanage in Indonesia, and most of these kids are not privileged as us to pursue their education.
NHA is the hope for them, but not everything goes smooth. Stagnancy makes them face some problems, as we can see in this fishbone diagram. They're lacking in company resources, well-trained HR, and facing unstable income. Ladies and gentlemen, would you stand with us to help these children? We're from B1 team, and here are our solution. With the current resource that NHA has, we believe that creating a tourism center is very feasible to build traction, brand awareness, and more revenues. There are 4 main tourism fields that we want to emphasize in this speech, which are religion, educational, culinary, and cultural tourism. Here are the scenarios that the tourists can do.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. You guys look so fresh. How was your holiday? Did you guys enjoy it?
Oh, yes, I should tell you about our trip yesterday. We had the best religious trip ever. Right, Michelle?
Yes, you should come too, Kak.
Oh, I'm curious. Tell me more about it.
Okay, so yesterday we went to Ponpes Nurul Huda Langosari. We had this religious prayer along with the students. They have like these regular religious events. And since they are a non-profit organization, we did donate some money to help their growth.
After that, we had a horticultural workshop. Previously, it's a private workshop only for the students, but now it is open for the public so that we and the students can interact and exchange knowledge.
Cool.
Yeah, and if you went there, don't forget to take a stroll on the plantation areas. You can sightseeing, enjoy the nature, and harvest some fruits.
Oh, sounds fun.
And in the afternoon, we were so hungry. So the cool thing is, next to the plantation areas, we had a lunch at Warung Nyamplungan that serves a very delicious Indonesian food.
Yes, and their foods are rich in spices.
Oh my god, I'm drooling right now.
And that's not the end of it, Laksa. In the afternoon, we saw a cultural show performed by the Ponpes students.
Wow, how much is the ticket cost?
The ticket cost 100,000 rupiah for the whole event for each person. And so worth the money. You can even book it online from their website or Traveloka.
Wow, I definitely have to go. You guys should come too. How cool is that, ladies and gentlemen? Not only we can create more revenues, but can also share your religious values. Next, our second solution is using 3 digital marketing strategies to attract big market exposure and massive new sales. One is by using Facebook family of ads. 2, partnership with Traveloka, and 3, make a social branding.
Our third solution is to integrate all sales transaction system from all platforms using Odoo software. So why Odoo software? Because based on our research, it is easy to integrate, flexible for users, and have affordable price. Our fourth solution, we want to increase the customer experience in NHA Store. You want a good vendor? Use Mitra Tokopedia or Ralali.com. You want a good internal control? Implement a good SOP. You want to build a cashless community? Use flashcard for students. After generating new revenue streams and then profit, NHA should invest back to the community and students' quality of education. So we suggest NHA should provide a computer lab facility along with the educational platform license such as Udemy, HubSpot, and Khan Academy. Next, we have made the problem to solution diagram to show you that our solution has tackled all of NHA's problem. Our solution will take 8 months to implement. For the tourism center, we estimated it will take 8 months to implement. For the digital marketing training, it will take 2 months. For the Odoo software, it will take 3 months. And to increase the customer experience, it will take 3 months. And to invest back to the education, it will take 1 month. And from this impact effort matrix, NH should prioritize more on the solution number 2, 5, and 1 since they have the highest impacts.
Nothing is perfect, so do our plan. Yes, we know what you think. It is COVID-19 pandemic, right? No worries, because we have detailed it in this risk and mitigations. Moving on to the next part, which is financial analysis. If you use our services, you are going to have around 78% of return on investment, which can be achieved
in 42 months of payback period. Could you imagine how successful it will be if you use our solution? You will be able to increase revenue, improve students' education quality, and strengthen the local community. Hence, you will be able to help the children around Indonesia. Would you go with us? Thanks for listening. We are from B1 team.
Thank you, B1. So far, so good. Every team has not proceeded over time. So, last but not least, I'd like to welcome Borju team and Jingga will share the screen. So perhaps, okay, the committee give him the co-host access. All right. Borju, floor is yours. Like the others, the timer will be started after you done your first grid.
Okay, good morning. It is such an amazing feat to have dreams of going forward as a community rather than just alone. Beyond the purpose of being self-reliant, NH by Nurul Huda Islamic Boarding School aims to empower disadvantaged children and local community, and whether or not they can achieve their missions is determined by internal factors such as having a distinct value and external factors such as being located at a lucrative rural tourism village. We use an alignment matrix to determine that NH Corp is the area with the most significant impact. We chose to focus on NH Coffee because it has the potential to tap the Indonesian coffee market with 8.22% rate of customer growth per year, and NH Mart because if developed, it will bring so much impact as a place where locals can market their product. We noticed that there are also problems caused by manual processes and lack of work ethics. We recognize that there are 3 main problems that NH must solve. First, inability to engage local community in NH Mart, as mentioned in the case, locals are hindered by existing culture of not being used to mini market and difficulties to meet NH standard. Second, limited customer base of NH Coffee, as we see that on Shopee, most of its sales do not surpass 50 units. And third, lack of structure and administration in business process because manual process are prone to inconsistency and loss of data. Hence, our proposed solution must meet objectives stated. This is how our goals or objective meets our proposed solution.
Okay, so here are our proposed solution. Next. With 1.8 billion IDR investment on agrotourism, Langgosari potential on tourism is very high, and NH can leverage this opportunity. Even though tourism is very affected by COVID-19, we've already mitigated the current situation that will be explained later on in implementation. So how exactly will this partnership work? NH Mart and its value will then be included in Desa Langgosari agrotourism packages and also branding. And NH value will also be offered to Desa Langgosari. With this solution, NH will be able to tap a bigger customer pool and empower local community through local product demand increase. Next. To increase NH Mart attractiveness, we also add production journey information. After the customer scans the QR code, the customer will then direct it to how certain product is produced by the locals. With this, NH Mart will have an engaging new value and also educational experience. Next. The second solution is to act as a coffee shop supplier in Banyumas. We choose coffee because NH Coffee already has a number of sales and exposure. NH Coffees is basically NH's main product, right? Based on its online platform, even the website landing page is filled with NH Coffee. We believe that the value proposition of NH Coffee, which is low prices, empowering Banyumas locals, and altruistic value will attract the high number of operating coffee shops in Banyumas. So with the multi-channel distribution, NH will gain a new revenue stream. Next. The third solution is creating Microsoft Excel and VBA-based administration system. This will be implemented in delivery, inventory, scheduling, procurement and sales, and also standardization. So what exactly didn't we propose of more fancier tech? Simply, NHA doesn't need those. NHA's resources and capability towards internet and connection usage is inadequate and limited by external factors. Hence, we believe that our solution is easy to implement, innovative, suitable, eliminating manuality, and most importantly, reusable for further improvement. Next. See how easy it is to use our system. The user will then just have to input several data fields and also gain reports such as data, information, and knowledge through a programmable interface, and then it will be stored to the Excel database. This solution will enable NHA to make a more strategic analysis, automation, and optimization making to develop their business more and more. Next. We also propose organizational revamping to do more efficient decision-making bureaucracy. Next. And this is our solution prioritization. Next.
Validate the solution, we classify NHA taxonomic market segment as two. One, natural tourist, and social media and tourism accounts that we can utilize to promote explore Langgong Sari and NHA unique user experience. We can attract customers to consider Langgong Sari and NHA as tourism destination. Next. To online buyers that have not been fully advertised, we can create product campaign video and publish it on NHA TV that has 6K subscribers and providing link directly to the marketplace. Next. On visibility, we have considered the current COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on business. As it takes 16 months of preparation, we said that by the time our solutions are ready, the situation has improved. For finance, we prefer profitable, reasonable budget. Next. The biggest risk comes from value proposition delivery failure because of internet infrastructure, but we can tackle that by lobbying local government for infrastructure betterment. Next. Hence, by market expansion, increasing involvement with local community, and ensuring efficiency of business processes, NHA is able to tackle its problems and go beyond in serving as local communities platform. Next. Thank you, and please scan the barcode.
Okay, thank you, Burju team. And after this presentation, then I think the first stage, the first session of our debate activity is wrap up. So again, I'd like to deliver my utmost thank you to all of you that already presents really well and within the time limits as well. So we're entering the second stage of our activity today. So this is a question and answer session. I bet all the participants is feeling a bit nervous right now. And before we start, I'll start the second session, I'd like to welcome the judges, our judges. I think we have 4 judges right now, right? Mr. Happy from NHA. Are you here? Pak Happy?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, Pak Happy. Okay, Pak Happy is already here, and then also Pak Akbar Mujahid. Pak Akbar.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Okay. Good morning, Pak Akbar, and then also the third judges is Mr. Doni Yuliardi.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Okay, Pak Doni, selamat pagi, good morning. Mr. Trevin Tan.
Hi, morning everybody.
Okay, good morning. Am I missing someone from judges? Okay, I see Zahra. Is it one of the judges?
This is me, Mr. Happy, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. So we have 4 judges today, and I'm hoping that the judges already prepared their questions to respective team. You can deliver one question to maybe several teams as well, because if your question is same. The purpose of the questions from judges is to get more clarification on your presentation. And then after that, because we have 4 judges, we will give to each judges like about 5 minutes for question and the answer. So 5 minutes is question and answer in one package time. So we will spend the first, we will spend 20 minutes roughly speaking for this second stage from judges. And also, I'd like to come up with the, is there any questions from YouTube committee? Okay, so if there is not no questions yet, I mean, I'd like to ask every team here. This is just a warm up questions. Okay, so to every team here, and
I'm sorry,
while the
Mr. Indra. Sorry to cut
yes,
you off.
is there any questions from the audience?
There's actually a question from the audience here, from the fourth person of Pasti Bisa.
Okay, so maybe you can help me to. Okay, but before that, I have a warm up question to everyone here. First, how confident you are that to every team here, right? How confident you are that you are going to win this competition? Maybe Pasti Bisa. How confident are you?
We are 100% confident.
All right, cool. B1, how about you guys?
We're also 100% confident.
Okay, and Burju?
We are sure that we are doing our best.
Okay, a little bit humble from the others. Okay, committee, please. Would you like to share the first questions from the audience to the respective team here?
Yes, sir, of course. This is from the fourth person of Pasti Bisa. Oh, B1, I'm sorry. From the fourth person of B1. You said to Pasti Bisa. You said you had the solution for sustainability through the community development program by training. But at the end, the plasma farmer can only supply for Enhamart. It's a form of a non-consistency, while you developed the farmers and only allowed them to sell to you. This is a form of inconsistency and not empowering to the society, where the money coming from to do all the solutions, while you only depend on the fundraising from Kita Bisa and the others. This question is from the fourth person of B1 to Pasti Bisa.
Okay, Pasti Bisa, did you get that question?
Yeah, we do.
All right, please respond then.
Okay. So I would like to emphasize that on reaching sustainability, there are other factors that should be maintained as well. As we all know, sustainability have three factors. The first is that the social factor, and how we'll be promoting the social factor compliance through the support and the empowerment of the surrounding community, especially those who are lacking in the knowledge and the capital, and maybe the distribution network. Maybe they don't know how to sell or even who to sell it to. Through this strategy, farmers will be having a sense of belonging to ENHA as a whole, and it will. And since ENHA will pretty much be their mentor and guarantee the absorption of the harvest yields, and for the long term. And for the long term, it could open up even wider exposure, like the and how could be acquisition the farm and others as well, and the economic factor by building a synergic partnership, and how we'll be able to help the farmers to increase their productivity by optimizing the land use and improving their overall knowledge, whether it be agricultural or overall business and entrepreneurship skills, and how will also ensure its supply availability through long-term partnership, and as well making it affordable, since ENHA basically will be the owner of the production system. Therefore, they will be able to control the input, output, as well as the cost. And the third factor for sustainability is to comply to the environmental sector. Since ENHA will only be supplying from its surrounding, it will make it easier to monitor the waste and environmental performance, and therefore it would limit the emission, especially its transportation and logistic area. Therefore, the sustainability factors is all covered through this solution. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Maybe anyone from Pasti Bisa wants to add more, or I'd like to welcome the other members of Pasti Bisa to add more, if you will.
Yeah, Thank you for the opportunity. So I would like to add more statement for the question itself. So I think it's not the inconsistency because we want to empower the communities, we want to empower the farmers not only with the literacy but also we want to do it with other forms such as the children from the farmers could join the Nurul Huda boarding school as one of the students, and also we give them not only the literacy but also the other things like maybe fertilizer, and it will increase the productivity of the farmers itself. And why we want to ensure that the farmers supply to us, because first we want to ensure the quality of the goods that produced by the farmers itself. That's the first thing, because the good quality will ensure that our product will have a higher value in the market. Then the second is also we want to emphasize that to ensure the farmers that they could increase their supply to NH. Because why? Because we want to ensure the supply and demand principle not only for NH but also for the farmer itself. So the farmers have the certainty that, oh, I will sell it to NH, and then the NH could also give many other empowerment to us, to me, not only for the farmers but also could be in our family. That's the question for the problems of the communities development. Then maybe I could answer another questions about the corporation itself. So basically, for the corporation itself, the questions is, could sales of Enhammer will increase by using the corporation system? No. So basically, this is one of the problems that Nurul Huda still suffers. The student itself in Nurul Huda itself still buy or purchase the goods outside of the NH mark, which is the money circulations could go outside of the NH. And then the second is the student itself sometimes and always lose their money when they are keeping their money by themselves. So this is why we come up with the corporation idea, which is the principle of Sharia corporations, that the student also could step up their money there, and also the students could also buy the products purchased at the end hammered. Because why? Because it is like the principle of the dividend itself. If you purchase more, you will get the return more in the end of the year. So this is basically one of the main thing that we will come up with this corporation idea. Besides, it will increase the funding of the NH itself and also the marine circulations. And then regarding the funding of the Rumah Zakat itself and also the peer-to-peer lending platform, we see there's a problem that it is stated that NH doesn't have a regular donators, which is it is one of the main points that we come up with this idea that we will increase the operations and also the funding for NH itself. That's why first we divide it into two. The first donation purposes that it is for the organizational or for Nurul Huda, for the students, for the operations, and the second is business financing that we want to increase the investment for Nurul Huda through investor. Because why? Because we want to increase because we want to still maintain the Sharia principle that will be beneficial not only for NH but also for the communities itself. That's why we come up with this donation purposes and also the business purposes, which is the peer-to-peer lending platforms.
Okay, thank you, Pasti Bisa team. Okay, so I'm hoping that this answered the questions from the fourth person of B1 team. So moving to the next question, I'd like to ask again the committee, is there any new questions for our participants here? Hello, team at FX.
Hi, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, great. I'd like to ask, is there any new questions come up in the last few minutes?
There is from the fourth person from Borju. They'd like
Okay.
to ask the Pastibisa, what do you mean by the sales of NH Mart will increase by using cooperation system? As far as I know, students have been buying their daily needs from NH Mart and adding cooperation in between students, and NH Mart will not expand NH Mart's customer base or purchasing power. It contradicts NH Mart's purpose and widens the distance of NH Mart and local producers. How would you justify that the solution is relevant to NH Mart's purpose? Thank you.
All right. Okay. Before Pasti Bisa answering these questions, I think you need to prepare your fourth person to ask a question to another team then. All right. After this, if there is another questions, then we will provide that. And after that, I would like to move to our judges to ask questions as well to our participants here. Okay, pasti bisa. Time is yours.
Okay. Thank you for your enthusiasm to ask to our team. That's a very nice questions. As I have explained before, why we come up with the cooperation system idea, because there's a pain that suffers by NH itself. The first is shopping off for daily needs of the students is still mostly done outside, where the money circulation could go outside of NH. And then second is also the student always lose their money. So this is why we come up with the cooperation idea that student could have the ability to save their money, and also the transaction of students will increase the sales of the market itself. Because why? Because using the cooperation principle that there's a if you spend more, you will get the return more, and this is why that we come up with this idea for the students of Nurul Huda itself, that it will increase also the money circulations, and also the money circulations will be kept inside the Nurul Huda itself. And then we could see that not only from the cooperation principle, we use the principle that is based on Sharia principle, because Nurul Huda is one on Islamic boarding school. That's why we still use the Sharia principle. And then if you could see at the circulation, closed loop circulations at the slides, you could see that the money comes from the students and also will give back it to for the student itself. That's why we come up with the collaboration system to ensure the one of the thing is to ensure the closed loop money circulations. So the money will could be used by NHMart and also NHCorp to do their business, and also it will secure the students from losing their money. This is one of our things to solve these problems.
I would like to add the answer for the question. Basically, we conduct this cooperation system to tackle the pain that we are putting in the slide, which are shopping for daily needs of students that is still mostly done outside, and students always lose their money. But to tackle other problem that is mentioned by Audrey, we solve the problem throughout our other solution. That's why we only focus for NS student only in this cooperation system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pasti Bisa team. I think, is there any questions? I'd like to give this as a final opportunity to the audience to ask to our participants here. So feel free to put it in the Facebook chat or Facebook comment or this the chat from this Zoom chat. Also, is there any new questions arising from the audience committee?
There are no further questions from... Oh, there's one. To Pasti
Oh.
Bisa, why does your team propose many solutions? How would you ensure that NHAC could execute all of that? Thank you.
Okay. Again, Pasti Bisa, time is yours.
Okay. So thank you for the questions. That's a nice questions. So why do we come up with the solutions itself? So basically, as a system, we see Nurul Huda not only stand as an individual, but also a system that consists of many connectivity, not only with the students, but also many stakeholders besides. That's why for the changes in the system, we have to not only consider about the change in one thing, but also we have considers in the other elements. And then by looking in the perspective of the system, it is not only stand by disparate solutions, but the solutions is an integrative solutions that could enhance not only the ability of the operational excellence of NHI itself, but also it will ensure the sustainability of the business and also maintain the relationship with the stakeholder itself. That's why by looking the perspective of the system, these solutions is integrated system. And then, moreover, we have create an implementation plan to be used by ENHA to implement the strategies. And moreover, we have also do some risk mitigation risks to overcome the risk in the future. And also we have simulated using Monte Carlo simulations. And also we have using the projections that it will ensure the feasibility of the ENHA itself. Because one of the thing itself, for the money itself, we have used these things, which is the funding itself using the revenue purpose and also the business purpose. So back end-to-end process we have considered, and also we propose the solutions.
I would like to add my friend's answer. Basically, if you guys see thoroughly to our presentation, actually our solution supports each other. If you take a look at our bookkeeping and logging system, that ecosystem actually supports our other solution, and like transaction for itself. A transaction is being mentioned on other solution like cooperation and also Enhammer. So we don't make our solution stand by itself for every solution, but it also complement each other.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Pasti Bisa. And with that answer, I'd like to move our question to opportunity to question the participants to our judges. So without further ado, please, one of the judges can start to throw a question to our participants here. I'd like to welcome our judges to start asking questions.
Hi, Trevin here. Okay, so to Basti Bisa, right? On a very similar note as the previous question, that within your presentation there is a mirage of all these various strategies and solutions that you are proposing. May I know in the longer scheme of things, which is your priority? Which of the solutions are you going to establish first, and why? What is your basis for your solution prioritization?
Yeah. Thank you very much for your patience. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Trevin, for the questions. Let me answer the questions. So basically, this is the solutions that we want to increase the operational excellence, and also we want to increase the awareness of the NHI itself. So before we want to increase the awareness into the market, we want to expand the network. First, we have to maintain the small things, which is the internal conditions of the NHI itself. That's why first we have to do the operational excellence of NHI itself, and then for the version of the strategies, first we have to do the enhance and optimize in system of NHI, which is the first is the work itself using the bookkeeping system to enable the human to enable the skills, and also to reduce the human errors from the manual records. And also the second is also we want to do it parallel with the donation purposes and also business purposes to increase the funding and also to increase the financings that could enable NHA to explore more about for them. And then next, one of the crucial things is also the literacy of the human resources itself. That we want to increase the human resources first for the goods of the work itself. Not only the literacy of technology, but also how the operation works for the work itself. Then after the several solutions, we could come up with the marketing campaign, doing it parallel for NHA itself, using the marketing communication strategies, using the local influencers, and also the other NHA membership program, and also digital marketing that will ensure that NHA is known well with the public. But in the end, we also want to do partnership with third parties to increase the NHA network, such as with digital payment, and also we want to provide another solutions to another services for NHA as a new business revenue streams, because it is one of the opportunity that NHA could grab, which is to go meal for nyambungan. Then we optimize the system also using the internet and also the other things that could enable not only for NHA but also the students in the schools to become one of the human resources of NHA itself. And in the end, we also want to give the community development programs that we want to make a strategic partnership with the plasma farmers that we want to ensure the sustainability of the business, not only for the short term, not only for tomorrow, but also for the long term of NHA itself. That's why it is one of our programs with our solutions to ensure the sustainability of the business using the plasma farmers. The plasma farmers also could not only be beneficial for NHA by only the literacy, but also the other things such as the children of the farmer itself could become students or could go to Nur Huda boarding school, which is one of the benefits of the plasma for our plasma farmer itself. And also the plasma farmers could maintain their supply to NHA itself. And we want to increase the productivity not only for NHA itself, but also for the plasma farmers with our communities development that will be given to these stakeholders. That's why of these solutions I have mentioned before, as I have mentioned before, it is end-to-end solutions, which is an integrated strategy, and it is a complement one strategy of the others, and it is the detail of these integrative strategies. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, just a bit of follow-up over there. Could you go back to the timeline slide?
Yeah.
Okay. So, am I right to interpret that Q1, Q2 as Q1, Q2?
Yeah, true.
Okay, and your entire implementation plan, I would assume, stretches over a period of how long do you guys envisage to complete all the way until step 3?
Yeah, up to 1 year. 1 year.
1 year. Okay. Do you think that timeline is realistic?
Okay. So basically, I could say it is the timeline is also under consideration because first we could see from the financial and funding itself, it is could directly when you use the platform, you could directly provide NHA into the platform itself, and then to optimize the system, you use one of the system we partnership with the Udo platform that and also the Microsoft Excel that is it is one of the thing that will be easy to use and also not only cheap but also it will be easily to understand by the users. And then for the marketing campaign, it is first we come up with the rural areas, which is the digital, which is partnership with the communities, with the influencers of the local, such as maybe students and also the other influencers, micro influencers. And then for the collaboration system of NHI itself, it is one of the thing that it is really not hard to implement because it is the collaboration system where the students is it only inside the Nurul Huda boarding school, not outside of the NHI itself. So it is basically the internal process of the NHI itself, and this process could be done parallelly because it doesn't took much resources and time. And then for the last, maybe partnership with the third parties and community development that as I have explained before, we also do collaborations with the students, with the academic institutions that will be become one of the stakeholders that be beneficial for NHA to increase the education and also literacy. And this is this is why we come up with the solutions and with the given timelines. Thank you very much.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't have any more questions. It's just 2 notes, right? First of all, your timeline seems to be way more aggressive. Okay. I mean, I'm not really sure if it's realistic. I'll leave it to the rest of the judges to decide, but it looks really, really aggressive. Secondly, it appears that you guys are targeting the tougher portion of the question, which is could you go back to the timeline slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are targeting financial expansion, system optimization, expanding coverage of NHA, which amongst the 3 steps, I would argue that this is probably the most difficult step executionally. So this is probably something that you guys might need to consider. Okay, may or may not be the right way to do it. I don't have the exact answers, but just 2 points of consideration. Yeah, I think that's all from me.
Thank you very much for your
Very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Judge Trevin. I'd like to welcome another judge to ask a question or ask one question to couple groups if the question is the same. Please, the other judges. I'd like to welcome Pak Happy, Pak Akbar, and Pak Doni to ask questions to our members, participants here.
All right, maybe I would like to ask one more thing. Maybe we could go back to the timeline.
Yeah.
Can you show the timeline, please? Yeah. All right. So more or less, my questions is similar to Pak Travin. Yeah. So I can see that there are a lot of things that you want to do in a very short time. So I see that it will be kind of a waterfall implementation rather than an agile model. So how do you actually gonna be measure the progress? I mean, is it going to be something that you're going to do all and then you measure later on after 1 year, or are you going to be more agile? It means that every steps that you will do some measurement, you see the metrics, you define the metrics first and measure whether the metrics is achieved or not, and so on, and then you go to another steps. So how are you going to do this?
Okay, maybe I'd like to answer. Thank you, Mr. Doni, for the question. So exactly as you said, this timeline of 1 year is specifically planned to measure what is it that you need to do, and then to do some pilot project on will this be measurable in the future. Therefore, it's only 1 year because it is to really to make the system to be stable. Therefore, in the long term, it could be systemized.
And then to add for the solution itself, we do not we use the principle of Kaizen, which is the continuous improvement. That after the measurements, we also not only stick to what to the thing that have been done, we also do the remeasurement. If the measurements still don't fit the index or the indicators, then we will evaluate the solutions, and also we want to relaunch the solutions and also do the adjustment in the solutions. So basically, it is not only after we do the one solutions, one project, it is done, but only we keep doing the improvement to increase the benefit not only for NHA but also especially if NHA will expand its business into a wider market. That's why we should do it in a manually continuous improvement and under control and monitoring of the implementation of the solutions.
Yeah. I think that's quite important. Yeah, to have the metrics on each steps, because you know that this is not. I believe NHA is not really that easy to change, right? Because it's already have culture in itself, so people are not really that easy to change. So there should be metrics that you put on it to measure whether every step is already achieved within your target before you go into other implementation. So I think that kind of metric is something that you need to count on. For me, it's a good thing, but it's only that you want to do many things. But I know that operational improvement is something that needs to be done within the organization itself before we are going forward to other things. Yeah. All right. I think that's my questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Pak Doni, for your question. I'd like to also welcome Pak Happy and Pak Akbar if you guys, if you do have questions to our participants here.
Okay, Mas Iwan. Hello.
Yeah. Please, Pak.
Yeah. Okay. Pasti bisa. Okay. I'd like to ask that actually. It is easy to say, but it is difficult to do. The main point of the program, I think, also we will concern on the human resources. You know that actually in NHA Islamic Boarding School, the background of the stakeholder are concerned only on Islamic studies or Islamic education. So simply it need to explain clearly and easy to understood by the stakeholder how to overcome the problem in enhanced cooperation. So how can you do that with the low or with the lack of the human resources in our in NHA corporation?
Thank you very much for Ms. Happy for your questions. Let me answer the question. It is a good question where we also consider that one of the main problems that suffers by NHA is also the lack of skills and also the literacy of the human resources, especially for the work itself. So that's why we want to increase literacy using with the student itself, that using the academic network, that we want to increase the great collaboration with NHA and also the academic institutions such as the students in universities, and then they can do the education and also give literacy for the workers used in a project such as KKN. So I believe that it is one of the things that NHA should consider because the literacy is very crucial for NHA to develop. And I believe also that the relations from human to human is also important, that it is the thing that the education should give in simple but also could give a high impact for the workers. That's why we use collaborations with the academic institutions such as the college students, that it will increase the knowledge not only for the workers but also it will giving back also for the students, that they could get experience for NHA and also they could learn more about NHA and they could promote NHA not only in during the project during the KKN, but also it could be promoted at the universities. And then the other thing that we will do is the communities development. That's why we want to educate the farmers into increase the productivity, and it will become the things that will empower the communities, especially in the long term. You could not only do the development for the farmers, but also for the other suppliers and also the other stakeholders. That's why this is one of the things that we consider that literacy is important, and we come up with these solutions. Thank you very much, Mr. Harpy.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Also, maybe I'd like to add a little more to that. Kenny, maybe you could go to the slide of the community development program. So one of the main reasons for us on proposing this particular solution is that we see that the students gain very little value for the production of their products, like the honey and the coffee. And according to the case, that the products are already packaged from other sources. And we can see that students could have gained even more and extensive knowledge and skills from here. Since we see that this is one of the main business for NHA. If they were able to be exposed to more extensive operations, like how to process the products, how to tell that the harvest is good and quality, we think that the practical skills will be covered as well in this solution, in this particular solution. Therefore, the students will be given an added value on how they learn and gaining even more practical skills. Thank you.
I also want to add some answers to my friend's answer. So I want to emphasize that basically, through our solution, which was enhanced education network, it also will expand enhanced network to other areas. So this training and collaboration program will continue hand in hand with the implementation of technology and other solutions throughout our timeline, not only in the initial period. So it will keep train the students throughout the years. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it enough, Pak Happy?
Okay, enough for me.
Okay. So I'd like to welcome another question from our judge to participants. And I'm hoping that these questions will be addressed to another team rather than Pasti Bisa. Okay. Maybe if one of the judges wants to ask B1 or Burju at this point. Okay, before waiting, I'd like to ask again another one of questions, maybe to Burju or B1, based on your presentation, Burju and B1, from all of your strategy, which part is the most important one and which part is the very first strategy that you need, you think NHA needs to implement first among all of your strategy that you already present? Maybe this can be this can trigger another question from our judge to Borju and to Pasti. Sorry, to B1 and Borju. And Pasti Bisa, you can make a notes from the response from your rivals here.
All right.
Okay, B1 and Borju, which one are going first? My questions, this is more like a trigger questions for our judges. Among your strategy that you already present, which one is the very first thing first that you think NHA needs to implement?
Okay.
Okay, I think B1 is ready.
Okay.
All right.
For this opportunity. So we actually already create an effort impact matrix for our 5 solutions, and we came up with 3 solutions that we think that have the highest impact with the low efforts to begin with. So we're going to start with first digital marketing strategy. Why this is very important? Because we note that at the status quo, NHA already has a lot of products. For example, they have their clothing lines, for example, their cafes, or so on and so forth. So we think that with the current platform that NHA have, for example, their website or their YouTube, it has a very low engagement rate to the customer or the users in Indonesia itself. So we think with the digital marketing strategy, we can maximize what things that NHA already have to begin with. So we're going to use Facebook family apps of ads. We're going to use like a partnership with Traveloka, so on and so forth. So we can, engage to more market to begin with. But number 2, we're going to also invest to the education. Why this is very important? Because as the fundamental things that NHA is the school for the children. Their main purpose is how the children is able to success in the future with the equipped skills, so on and so forth. So they're being prepared for the employment world itself. So we think that the investment of the education becomes very crucial in our solution, because at the end of the day, it's one of the objectives coming from the NHA itself. Meanwhile, the investment of the education itself is also under our set house. It's very feasible and it's also very easy to be implemented to our students. So students can actually learn so many things in the investment itself to the online platforms, learning academy, so on and so forth. And lastly, we're going to champion about our tourism center itself, because we think that the phenomenon in Indonesia with the current COVID-19, tourism is become very crucial in Indonesia itself. We've known that Indonesia is being known for its tourism itself. We know that Indonesia is, especially NHA, has been gifted from our God with such a very amazing human resource. They have a lot of ulamas, for example, to teach us about the religion's culture. We also have their plantation areas that are already very amazing to begin with. So we think that why don't we combine those kind of religious value and also their nature itself, nature resources, and also having the students itself to perform, to show what they have to the audience itself. So if the question is which solutions that we want to implement first, I think it's going to be digital marketing strategy, investment to the education, and last but not least about building tourism center. That is all from B1. Thank you.
Hello, I'm sorry, Sir
Yeah.
Indra. We actually have a question from the audience for this Q&A session for B1. Oh, and also just to remind, we have a 10-minute Q&A session from the audience for B1, and then another 10 minutes for the judges' questions and answer for B1. So starting from now, this is from Lydia Prima, the 4th person of Pasti Bisa. For B1, in urban areas alone, the community's adaptation process to switch to cashless is not fast. Not to mention, the many challenges occur. How are you guys sure about implementing Flash? Isn't one of the problems is the student lose their money? I see that the card payment would even make it easier for the card to be lost or stolen. How would a card payment system solve this? Yes, and that is all. Thank you.
Okay. Before that, thank you for the question. So regarding the question, I have 2 contexts that I want to explain in my answer. First of all, why the Flash itself will be the acceptance of Flash will going to be accessed in our local community. But second of all, why the using of flash is going to reduce the lostness of money itself for the students itself. So first, why flash is going to be accepted by our society. Note that the current objective of NHA is they want to having a cashless community. So we're going to say that changes will exist under every side of the house. In Pasti Bisa side or Burgess side or on our side, the changes will always exist. But the question is which solution is much more able to be implemented and much more suitable with the current culture that NHA local community has. We say that with the flash itself, it's going to be the acceptance rate will going to be higher compared to another solution coming from their side, which is having a digital payment, for example, or for GoPay, so on and so forth. What is the reason? First, we told you how with the flash itself, we have the evidence, we have the physical appearance. Like this is a flash itself. This is a flash. We told you how the money access in this. All right. Compared to the OFO itself, it's a digital cash. Like you cannot really, count the money. You cannot really, grabs the money itself. Compared to this flash, you feel safe because it is very similar with the traditional money. This is money and this is a flash. So at the end of the day, this is much more compared to the culture itself. It's much more having the similarity with the current cash to begin with. But second of all, we told you how the flash itself is able to be personalized with your design. For example, this is my flash. It has my name. It has my photo of my picture of my face. So at the end of the day, people will have the sense of belonging towards their own flash because they think that, oh, this is my flash. This is very cool. So at the end of the day, they think that it's going to be accepted and the changes will also exist in every side of the house. But second of all, why this going to reduce the amount of money to be losing from the students itself? Because at the status quo, we can see the problems that students hold their money manually and they do not want to give them to their teachers, so on and so forth. And oftentimes at the status quo, the problem is students losing their money. So why having the flash is going to reduce the amount of these problems? Because we told you how, if you're using the money itself, you have a lot of money to be kept, to be saved. Like for example, I have 3 monies and it's going to be spread around my classroom, my house, so on and so forth. Compared to the flash, you only need 1 card. It's going to centralize over your money. This money, when you have, like for example, $10, so on and so forth, you only need 1 flash to begin with. But second of all, we told you how in the flash itself, it's already customized. For example, it has my name, so on and so forth. So people will notice that, oh, this is the flash compared to my name, Laksa. So at the end of the day, this not going to be stolen, or people that found this flash on the street can actually send them back. For example, because this flash is going to be used in the NHA market to begin with. So if the cashier thinks that, oh, the picture here and with the people that use this flash card is different, then the cashier will actually understand that, oh, this is not your flash card. So at the worst case scenario, where the flash card is gone, the cashier will actually notice that, oh, this is, you sold the flash card. So at the end of the day, not your flash card. So the cashier will actually able to give this flash card back to the ones that already belongings to begin with. So that is why at the end of the day, flash is going to be accepted by the local community and also not going to be stolen. But I think what is more important question in this debate is not going to how it's going to be accepted or how it's going to be able to save the money. But the question is, which solution that is much more suitable with the current resource that NHA has. We told you how, if they're using the digital payment itself, for example, OFO, GoPay, so on and so forth, it needs a lot of internet. For example, you need internet, you need the devices for every students in those kind of region or areas. But we know, as stated in the case itself, how the Nurul Huda itself, it is allowing students actually having their own devices to begin with. So we told you how using OFO is not going to be feasible in the very first place because it against the rules coming from the Nurul Huda itself. In comparison, using the flash itself, you only need to register your data to the BCA or even the Mandiri or even the BNI itself. You only need to apply this kind of data, and it's very it doesn't need a lot of internet access, and at the end of the day, it's going to be flexible because you can top up it in the NHA itself. So at the end of the day, using the flashcard is something that is suitable with the current resource that NH has, and it's also going to be accepted by the local community, and it also reduce the amount of losing money for the students itself. That is all from us.
All right. Thank you, B1. I'd like to welcome our judge to ask questions to.
I'm sorry, sir. Sorry to cut you off, but there's still a few questions from the fourth person from the other teams. First, there's a follow-up question from Audrey Betsy. But Flash doesn't have a pin system and only needs one tap to be used. So there is a high possibility of a problem of stealing flashcards. How would you tackle this? And there will be some other questions after this. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. About the security itself. So you said that Flash doesn't have a PIN to have a secure payment, so on and so forth. So the comparatively about the OFO, we already told you that the devices, the current regulation disallow them to having the OFO to begin with, because they cannot use their smartphone to use OFO or any digital payments to begin with. But another alternative that exists at the status quo is having a bank account, having your BCA card, so on and so forth. We say it's kind of not feasible because these junior high school students or senior high school students doesn't have KTP to begin with to register their identity to having a bank account to begin with. So having a bank account and as OFO, it's not feasible for the students. So why flashcard is the answer? Because maybe that flashcard doesn't have a PIN, but we told you that there are externalities that is able to measure and create a secure security for this flashcard. For example, we told you the cashier in the Mart itself, the moment they see that the current picture in the flashcard is different with the people that is using the flashcard, they will notice that, oh, this is not your flashcard. You're stolen the flashcard. So they will cancel the transaction to begin with. So I think at the end of the day, when using the flashcard, it's feasible for the current resources in NH, and the security is also going to be achieved under our side of the house.
I would also to add up, other than the flashcard is customizable, just like when you bring money in your wallet, we assume that the students will also bring the flashcard everywhere they are going. So it is going to be, so that's why our flashcard is more feasible for the solution of building a cashless community.
Thank you so much. This is one last question from Audrey Betsy. B1, NH Mart was created as a place for locals to market their product. However, your solution of using B2B marketplace for product vendors contradicts NH Mart's purpose and widens the distance between NH Mart and local producers. How would you justify this? Thank you so much. No further questions.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, and if you feel like you need to show something, please do so.
Okay, sure.
All right. Thank you.
Can you make Laksa as a co-host so I can share the screen? Okay, thank you. Okay. So why we choose Mitra Tokopedia and Halali.com? B1 is having a bigger picture in seeing the problems that exist in the NH itself. Yes, we understand that the current problems that NH wants to championing the local community, the local suppliers to begin with. But on the other hand, NH also facing another problem, which is the limited of vendors that enables them to fulfill the necessities of the local community to begin with. And moreover, they're also having the problems of the quality control of each product that the local suppliers give, because it's unable to actually keep up with the current NH Mart standard. So why we choose Mitra Tokopedia and Halali.com? First of all, about the implementation itself, we're not going to actually display and sell every goods coming from the Mitra Tokopedia and Halali.com. We still have the ratio 50-50 quantity. So we're going to actually having the local suppliers and also the Mitra Tokopedia. But we're going to, like some goods, it's not available because the current capacity of the local supplier is not that good. Like not every products can be produced by our own local community. So we're going to outsource some products that is the truth is not able to be produced by the local products to begin with. So we think that the ratio 50-50 will still exist under our chapter house. But second of all, why using Tokopedia or halali.com is good? Because at the end of the day, we solve another problem, which is to fulfill the local community necessities, because not every local community is able to, supply every diverse products that exist at the status quo. But moreover, when we having a partnership with Mitra Tokopedia or halali.com, we're going to have a real picturization of what is the good product looks like. Because at status quo, these local suppliers do not have any comparison, do not have any reference of what is the good products actually looks like. When we buy the products coming from the Mitra Tokopedia, when we know that at the status quo, they already have a very good quality control of their products, we can see that, oh, this is a product that should look like. This is a product that is worth to buy or worth to sell to the market. So at the end of the day, when we're having the references coming from the Mitra Tokopedia, local suppliers can actually duplicate those kind of products, and they will understand, oh, this is actually the good products. This is the packaging. This is the quality. This is the size. This is the amount, so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, first, we're still championing local suppliers because we're going to still have the ratio 50-50. Second, we're going to also solve another problems about the fulfilling daily necessities coming from the local community. But last but not least, if you're talking about championing local community, I think our side of the house provide you a better solution when we're able to give you the reference of what is the good product should look like.
Also, I would like to add up. So the main problems from this, why we came up with this solution is because the locals have like this unstable production quality. And rather than relying all of the products to from the local vendors, have you ever heard like don't put everything in one basket? So this is actually what we are doing. We want to divide the risk 50-50. So rather than we rely all of our products from one vendor, we want to also supply half of the inventory from a good platform such as Mitra Tokopedia and halali.com. Therefore, while waiting and educating the locals to be able to produce a good production quality, we also need to supply half of the inventory from these platforms. So that this is also another thing that the local vendors could also see this product, the good product, as an example that this is the quality, the standards that we need to meet on.
Okay. I want to add a little bit of an expansion. Please note and do not disregard our solution that we're still going to having an investment in the education itself. So we're not going to dismiss any local community, local suppliers. No, we're not going to dismiss them. We're going to still give them education through this investment to the education. So under our house, we're still going to protect this local community. That is all from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Team B1. And again, I'd like to welcome our judge to give questions to Team B1 regarding their idea and their solution about this topic. Is there any question from the judges to B1 team?
Okay, maybe I would like to ask question to B1. I'm interested actually with your tourism concept because it's quite comprehensive. But what I would like to know is how you're gonna prepare people in this community to accept a lot of visitors, because I believe maybe in some community they have strict guidelines and so on. So do you think that they can cope with this in a very short time, and is it something that doable? That's my first questions. And I think when it comes to the payment parts, Flash is a good option, actually. But my other questions is why not also think about other payment system, or maybe creating kind of what do you call it, savings for the youngsters, because I think there are some saving programs as well, and could be Sharia based, that targeting for youngsters. And are you looking into that as well? Yeah, that's my two questions. Thank you.
So, okay. Thank you, Mr. Rooney, for the question. I would like to answer the first question first regarding about our tourism center, why the local community will accept the upcoming visitors to begin with. So basically, why we're brave enough to come up with this kind of solution, because at the status quo, Anha already has warung nyamplungan, right, in this picture. At the status quo, Warung Nyamplungan already has a lot of visitors coming from many regions in Indonesia. For example, we see in their Instagram a lot of people coming from to Warung Nyamplungan to taste the food, so on and so forth. So actually, the culture that exists in the Anha itself, in the Banyumas Purwokerto itself, they already have an acceptance for the foreigners or the local non-resident people that coming into that kind of area. It is shown with how Warung Nyamplungan is able to serve so many diverse people coming from outside the areas to begin with. But even if that the current acceptance is not going to be that big, we can convince them with the benefits that we can offer them. If you're going to accept more people, you were able to taste some benefits, which are first, you're able to actually increase your revenue. Because at the status quo, the problem is you don't have a fixed donation to begin with. Because donation coming from a lot of people is not going to be that fixed, so you are unable to create the planning system. Because in order for you to have a good planning system and have a good decision maker system, you need to have a fixed budget first. But the problem is at the status quo, they don't have a fixed budget, they don't have a fixed income or a fixed donator. So if we're creating this tourism center, you'll be able to increase your revenue with the fixed system, with the fixed income, since you're going to maximize or optimize with the current resource that you have. It's first. But number two, what is the benefit? You can also share the education from something that you already learned. Because do note that the current system of the Anha itself, you already learned something from your school itself. So it's time for you to actually exercise in the practical way. Because at the status quo, you only learn in the very theoretical way, and you don't have an opportunity or exercise to actually meet the real customer in the job opportunity, in the job employment itself. You don't have enough platform to actually exercise your public speaking skills or your presentation skills or your language skills, so on and so forth. This is a time for the students or any other staffs in the NH itself to actually really exercising their soft skills in order to prepare them for the job employment to begin with. But last but not least, we think that if we're having a lot of visitors to begin with, we can, we're having an exposure to the outside world in the Banyumas itself. Because a lot of people coming from the city, a lot of people coming from outside the Java itself, for example, they're having a very diverse knowledge. They're having, like most people coming from the city, they have much more advanced exposure coming from the technology, coming from the knowledge about the basic knowledge from the junior high school students or the senior high school students. So when they can actually interact with each other, it means that there are going to be some discussion and exchangement of the knowledge, and this is very important because they are still kids. They're still in the process of develop their own thinking skills or develop their own knowledge. And if they're able to actually exchange knowledge with another person outside with those kind of area, giving them a new exposure, I think it's very beneficial for the students itself to actually, increasing their skills, increasing their knowledge to begin with. That is the first, that is my answer for the first question. So about the second question, about the other payment methods and about the savings for the youngster itself.
Okay, as for the Flash, about the question about Flash, so we saw that we are going to implement this in the students of the Ponpres in Nurul Huda. So because we are going to implement this in the students, we already can see that this kind of method is also already implemented in the other universities as well. Since the flashcard is also customizable, you can put your photos, you can put your names on it, and you can know that it's belong to somebody. So we want to also think about the long-term use. We want to see in a broader, in a holistic view that in a long-term use, even when the students already graduate, and for example, one of the students are like successful and they come to in the urban city and they want to continue their career and also want to give back to give back for ANHA, we think that this flashcard is still be able to use. You can still use this. Also, compared to other methods, such as let's say like a corporation, like a Sharia corporations, it already stated that the students say that they don't want to put their money to the teachers. So if they can't even trust their teachers, how can they put their trust in the corporation? So therefore, we still think that this using flashcard is still the best solution and the most feasible and implemented way in building a cashless community.
Okay, this actually answered the question about your concern about savings in the Sharia method, because at the status quo, the culture of the students, they don't want to give their money to the other people. So we actually want to having the culture. We think that, oh, that's good. You know, having a savings for a youngster, yes, we think that is very good. But the current situation of the current characteristic of the students disallow them to actually having the savings. So we think that by having a savings in the Sharia itself, yes, it's good, but the students itself, they don't want to actually give the money away from another people to begin with. But last but not least, about the another payment system, why we don't use, like, for example, Mocha or even OFO, GoPay, so on and so forth. Because at the status quo, we see in their Instagram and in their website, the current cashier in the Mart already good, because they already have an established system, already have an established gadget about their current cashier system. So we don't think it is a very urgent solution to actually change the current payment system. But moreover, we think that it is much more important to have an integrated system, but the data in those kind of cashiers. So we prefer to choose Odoo instead of changing their cashier or another payment system. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Doni, for the question, and thank you, B1, for answering it. Is there any question from other judge to B1 addressed to the B1 team? If not, then I'd like to move to Borju team with my first question to warm up this session, question and answer session to Borju. Again, among your strategy, which one do you think is the most important one? So it has to be executed firstly by ANHA. Okay, Borju team, time is yours.
Okay, let me share my presentation. May I share my presentation?
Can you give Jinga? Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have weighed the option from our solution using solution prioritization based on effort to implement and also impact. And because the bubble, the highest the urgency for us to implement our solution. So the first one is establishing the partnership with Desa Langgong Sari. Why? Because by partnering with Desa Langgong Sari, it will bring so much traction and also customer in Mart, which also will contribute to the local community where they can market their products and so on and so forth. And then as the partnership with Desa Langgong Sari will take quite a time for like integration and also discussion and everything. In between, we will implement VBA for internal processes to increase efficiency and also to prevent data loss and also data inconsistency in ENHA. And lastly, we will do partnership with local coffee shops in Banyumas, which amounts up to around 100 coffee shops in Purwokerto and much more in the whole Banyumas, and can also spread wider than that to widen NH Corp's coffee customer base. So we will implement our solution exactly in that order, but considering that currently the COVID-19 pandemic is hindering some of this implementation, we think that we will establish the partnership first by proposing to Desa Lawngsari, but also for right now in this condition in the pandemic at all and all, we will implement VBA for internal processes for the most important solution to implement.
Okay, thank you, Team Borju. I hope this can spark another questions from audience or judge, especially the judges. So I'd like to welcome any questions addressed to Borju team up to this point. Okay, and please help me, committee, if there is a question from the audience in YouTube to Borju team.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is actually a question from Freddie. For Borju, when you're using FBA, how can you make sure the scalability of the tools and the security of the tools? It will be leading to fraud. Please explain more on that. Thank you.
Okay, so I will answer this question, but first I will make a statement that no, it will not lead to fraud. My answer will have two sections. The first is to answer the scalability question. So Microsoft Excel can store up to 1 million and even more rows. And those those amount of data is more than sufficient for the data that enhanced level of data management need for an SME. And by implementing Excel VBA program for data management, we establish standardized technology architecture for NH compared to leaping too far to rationalize or modular architecture like ERP. And like other than that, VBA can be programmed to suit NH needs, whatever it is. It's very customizable because basically you can create any functions that you need. It can have a user-friendly user interface too. It's basically like a desktop application program, just programmed through Microsoft Excel VBA. And like for further improvement, Microsoft Excel VBA is very scalable because the file extension .xls and .xlsx are very popular, and the data stored in Excel format can be imported to be used in fancier data analytics like Python, R, Kaggle, and etc. And we can even transition to higher data management, like for example, the rationalized architecture and so on, when NH is big enough and when it needs it, which is not now. And if we store it in Excel, we can do the transition seamlessly. And then for the security part, since Excel VBA is mostly operated offline, you do not have to connect to internet to use it. So storing it in offline storage will eliminate the needs for measures for cybersecurity, like you do not need to establish firewalls and etc. So it is not prone to like online attacks, cybersecurity attacks, threats of the data of NH being stolen offline from offline storage. But even so, Microsoft Excel files can be protected by password, which is very hard to like crack. So there is some level of protection there, both online and offline. And also to prevent data loss, which is also a security concern, Microsoft Excel can also be, the data can also be stored to the cloud storage of Microsoft, which is OneDrive, and you can back up the data anytime you want by connecting to the internet only at that period of time only. So that is our answer for the scalability and security of using Excel VBA.
Thank you from Team Borju. Is there anyone else from the team wants to add?
There's one.
All right, please.
Yes, there is one from Lydia. For Borju, I see that your initial investment is around 11 million. How would you allocate that amount of money to all of our solutions? I don't think it's realistic to use that small amount of money, and that the payback period is in 1.9 years. Isn't it too long for an investment of only 11 million? Can you elaborate more on the details of the financial projection for this? Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to answer this question, but I would divide my question into three parts. First one on disclaimer, second one on the cost, and lastly on the timeline. First, on the disclaimer, first of all, we do admit that compared to the other teams, we are rather going for a low-risk, low-return solution with two out of three of our solution is partnership that basically does not cost much. And the VBA that we want to implement is also relatively really cheaper and simpler compared to other team solution on information system, which costs monthly subscription and also a high spec hardware because it needs RAM that is higher than a locally run application. However, we also have consideration on why we are going through this route because unlike other profit-only oriented businesses, NH also has other agendas such as accommodating pesantren children, paying for the operational costs, and also for their living expenses. That we say that NH cannot risk to fail or to spend too much at one time, especially considering their capacity in human resource and technology right now. So we are going for a simpler, cheaper, but a steady solution on this. That's our disclaimer. Second, on why we only spend 11 millions on initial investment is because basically on partnership, we almost spend nothing because we are going to be a supplier and we're also going to do partnership with Desa Langgong Sari. And also the cost itself is basically for barcode licensing, hardware purchase, web development, content creator, and VBA deployment, which also so much cheaper compared to other team solution that require a lot of human resources, a lot of people involved in the making of it. That's why our solution is relatively cheaper. Lastly, on why the payback period is really slow, it's because our timeline itself is 16 months of implementation with partnership is in the last half of our implementation. That's why the profit generating solutions are rather coming quite behind, and that's the reason why the return itself is the payback period itself is not that quick. That's why we say that although our solution probably is low return, but we have a lot of consideration of why we are taking this way. And I hope with our solution, it could create a steady but a stable growth for NH, and managing that NH is also able to fulfill its role to accommodate for the lives of its 500 students. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Borju. And maybe the last questions or the next questions addressed to Borju.
I don't think that your solutions can solve the main problem, which is the lack of human resource expertise, especially seeing that your solutions would need advanced skills in technology. Wouldn't their skills be the foundation for them to be able to implement your solutions? I don't see any actions to tackle this. Thank you.
Okay, so to answer that question, firstly, the lack of human expertise doesn't correlate with the implementation process of VBA and Excel-based administration system. Why is that? Because the implementation process on administration system, we actually utilize third-party developers. So after they develop the VBA and Excel programmable interface, macro programming, and so on and so forth, the NHA stakeholders just can easily use the PBA and Excel. So we transferred the development phase to other parties. So the lack of human expertise is not an issue here for the development process. On the other hand, as we said earlier, the usage of PBA and Excel-based admin system is very easy to understand for the whole NHA stakeholders. They just basically need to fill in data and also gain reports through macro programming and programming interface, which will be done by third party, as I said earlier. Yeah. So actually talking about the technicality difficulties and also the lack of human resources, we believe that other team solutions for administration, such as the utilization of Odoo and other ERP software, is much harder than our solution, because actually after we've done our research, Odoo actually received tons and tons of complaints regarding the technicality problems such as the server configuration, slow connectivity, and so on and so forth. And that comes from a big company in which they have an easy access and which they can contact Odoo easily. Meanwhile, NHA here located in remote areas, so they cannot easily contact Odoo. So yeah, even big companies struggle with the implementation process of Odoo and ERP itself. So how about NHA, which they do not have the technicality capabilities and also the human resources capabilities? Thank you.
Okay, anyone wants to add from Team Borju? If not, then I think we have one more question from the audience to address to Borju, and hopefully this can can end after this final question, unless the judge wants to add another question. This question will be the final one addressed to Team Borju.
Yes, just like Mr. Indra said, this is the final question for Borju from the audiences. So, question to Borju. I see that your solutions mostly depend on other stakeholders. How would you maintain the dynamic performance of those partners? Wouldn't this build high dependency for NHA? How would NHA sustain its business through the solutions if NHA would then only depend on those partners? Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, to answer this question, the dependency of various stakeholders who actually can tackle those with the value proposition that NHA can offer for them, such as for the partnership with Desa Langgosari, they can offer how NHA's media platform and social media marketing is much better than the social media presence of Langgosari itself. And also with the partnership on the tourism, NHA can offer the NHA Mart, where they can offer one-stop shopping for the tourists in Langgosari. And also for the coffee suppliers, we actually also offer some value for them, which is the empowerment of Banyumas locals and also the relatively low prices coffee powder compared to other coffee suppliers, and also the altruistic value, of course. Yeah, but other than that, we actually also revamping the organizational structure of NHA itself. As we said earlier on the presentation, each pillars has their own project managers, and with the project managers, NHA itself can track and also can overlook each pillars much better than the current situation. So the dependency is not that high. Perhaps my teams would like to add up.
So I would like to add for Jory's answer. We don't think that partnership and dependency is necessarily bad, as long as we and our partners have an equal bargaining position in which we have something to offer and something to take from them. And yeah, basically we are equal. So we don't think that standing alone and not getting help or partnership with other parties is necessarily better if we can get other benefits also from other stakeholders that exist out there and can offer some more benefits from us. And that's why we don't think that, partnership and dependency is necessarily bad, even in our case.
Yes.
I'd like to just re-emphasize that from this partnership, we are not NH is not the only one that gets the benefits, but we also offer values to our partners, which will keep them in our partnerships for a long time.
Okay, thank you, Team Boju. And is there any questions from our judges to Team Borju? I think I can welcome one final question from the judges. If not, then we're going to move to our final segment. Okay, I think our judges.
No questions for me.
Oh yes. Sorry.
No. I have no more questions. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Maybe I have one question, perhaps. You actually brought up the use of media and her media here to promote. So why don't you also explore on how they can expand the audience and how would you do that? I mean, they have, I think, radio, if I'm mistaken. Yeah, they have radio. They have NH TV, if I'm mistaken. Yeah. So what do you think will be the good plan for that? I mean, to make use of these resources to expand the promotion.
Okay, so maybe Jinga could share the slide on, the marketing. So yeah, as we have explained before in our presentation, that we are going to utilize the NH Instagram and NH TV that have a lot of followings. And for NH Instagram, what we are currently seeing right now is that it already promotes, coffee and etc. But for NH TV, we say that it lacks promotion on NH Corp. Most of its contents are on, the daily activities in the Pondok Pesantren itself. I think that we can further utilize the, the huge number of following on NH TV to further introduce and expose our products, such as, if we are going to make campaigns on, Desa Langgong Sari, and also the user experience of scanning barcode and seeing the product journey in NH Mart. We think that it is going to create a really good marketing strategy because, to begin with, it is already have a lot of subscribers. But also we don't, close, the partnership with other social media platform, because we are also going to, have our post being posted by Explore Indonesia Instagram, for example, that has a huge number of following. So we are also going to utilize our internal resources, but also reach out to external resources that can give us, more exposure.
I see. So that's the only way to enhance the subscribers and audience. No further collaboration, for example, with some influencers in the social media, because that's usually more effective when it comes to broadening your audiences.
Yeah, so for now, we haven't considered that option, because for what we see is that even with NH Instagram with around 100K followers, NH is able to attract people to buy their coffee. So we haven't seen that, but it can also be included in our future prospect. If, for instance, what we are doing in marketing is not enough in bringing in more customers, then it can become a future prospect of the marketing strategy that we would consider.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with Pak Doni's questions, then it ends our second part of these final rounds. And with this, I'd like to move us to the final and segments of our activity today. So in these final segments, I'd like to give opportunity to every group, to Pasti Bisa, B1, and also Burju, to address one other groups, challenge them in the negative part. So you can challenge, give them challenging questions or debating their arguments and so on. I'd like to give 3 minutes to each group to only address another group. So the first floor will be given to Pasti Bisa. So Pasti Bisa will be given 3 minutes to address a challenge to one particular group. And then after that 3 minutes is off, I will inform you that the 3 minutes is off. You will given 2 minutes, especially to the defending group, 2 minutes to consult, to discuss, and then after that, the defending group will have another 4 minutes to answer the challenge. This will be time restricted, so I think the committee also will help us with the timer as well. So after Pasti Bisa's group, then the floor will be given to B1, and then the final floor will be given to Borju to challenge another group. Okay, 3 minutes will be given to Pasti Bisa group. Again, after your first greet, the countdown will be started. All right, Pasti Bisa group. Oh, before that, everyone's clear here?
Yeah.
Okay, then great. Pasti Bisa group, your time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. We are from Pasti Bisa. Our team, first, we would like to clarify the other team statement, which we believe is aimed to our group. We clearly specify that the fintech solution, which is GoPay or OVO, is not aimed for students, as we already covered that problems in the corporation system solutions. And even the students can gain a little profit share once in a while. Therefore, the students can easily get access of keeping their money safe to NH, other than keeping their money in a little card, making it even more prone to be stolen, it is clearly stated in the case that this needs to be taken care of.
Okay, so here are our question for team B1. The first question. Within the investment cost of 2.8 billion, how would you control the cash flow, especially the source of funding, seeing that it's not easy for them to get regular donors? Also, to build agrowisata, is it only the responsibility of NH or the local government? Because what benefit can NH gain from the huge amount of cost to build the facility, while the other internal problems are still there? The second question is, stated in your problem diagram that the reason for you to establish the tourism destination is to tackle the lack of human resources that are trained. What is the correlation between this exactly? Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? One of the core problems of NH is the limitation of human expertise. Therefore, wouldn't you need the skills of the human resource as the foundation to build the tourism destination? Thank you.
And then for the tourism idea, I think your tourism idea is still a little bit hard to be implemented. That how are you guys sure that your tourism idea will get a lot of attention? What makes it different from the other agriculture, education tourism? As we know that there are already other tourism spots that is very popular in Purwokerto. How to ensure that the tourism idea can compete with the other famous tourism spots? And then in the other hands, that the tourism is not only the responsibility for NH itself, but also the local government and local community. How will be the NH positions in these stakeholders if you will do 2.8 billion money just for NH to build the tourism, not only considering from the government, and also how could NH do the implementations and could solve the problems with this tourism idea? Because I think tourism ideas still don't have a clear indicators, and I think your idea for tourism idea is a little bit hard in a place in specification of funding and also for the implementations.
Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pasti Bisa team. So then we will have our pause for 2 minutes. Again, I'd like to ask committee's help for the 2 minutes timer. And then after that, 2 minutes is off. I'd like to welcome B1 to give their statement. Okay, time's up for B1. I'd like to welcome B1 to give their comments on the questions or to respond to the challenge.
Okay, thank you for the question coming from Pasti Bisa. So I would like to implement how to implement first the tourism center. So regarding to the approval itself coming from the government, I think the approval itself, we just need to having approval coming from our government. In order to have a collaboration itself, we need to make sure that we have a clear SOP. We need to have the license coming from the government. So I think that is actually we don't have any problems regarding to the government. But moreover, if the government wants to collaborate with us, I think it's much more better and beneficial for us because government have the bigger and wider network of connecting or even to promote our tourism, so on and so forth. So I think if the government wants to collaborate with us, we will welcome them to begin with. But second of all, talking about the cash flows, the investor gaining vendors, so on and so forth. Number one, we're going to use Odoo itself. We're telling you that we have an integrated system from their sales. We're not going to integrate the tourism center itself, but we'll also integrate the sales coming from the NH Mart itself, the sales coming from the NH Coffee, NH Clothing, so on and so forth. So we're going to have the integration system to begin with. But moreover, when we're talking about the cash flow itself, we'll prove to you why we can attract the investor to begin with, when we already prove to you why this tourism will attract more people to begin with. Because at the end of the day, in order for us to able to attract investors is to prove why this tourism will have and attract more people to begin with. I'll show you why. First of all, regarding to the HR resources, the problems that you're telling me that HR resources is the problems on the software. Number one, at the status quo, we already have the resources to begin with. For example, we have the local farmers in the farmers itself. For example, in the Wangi Nyampulan, we already have people or the cookers to cook the meals on the support. In the cafe itself, we already have people that already expertise in those kind of areas. So the conclusion is we don't need a lot of people to begin with in order to build this kind of tourism to begin with. But number two, we're telling you why tourism can solve the HR resources that we're talking about, because exactly this is a platform for the students or even the expertise to really, exercising their soft skills in the real world of the job itself. The moment when they are able to welcome the people in order to treat the customer farmers, so on and so forth. So I think it's very a good opportunity for these people to actually train their soft skills to begin with. But moreover, thirdly, we're telling you that how it solves the HR resources is exactly the fixed income itself. Because when we only rely on the donation itself, at the status quo, we already see the problems that donation is not effective, it's not sustainable. Therefore, we need to find another solutions, which is exactly having the tourism itself, is when we are able to actually gain the fixed income in order to actually invest in the education to begin with. And lastly, well, we can attract more people, because do understand at the status quo, this tourism is not going to actually attract the ones that are having those kind of nature or so on and so forth. We'll tap into the market that is more religious to begin with. Because at the status quo in Indonesia, there are only, like some tempat ibadah from like Masjid Cengho or even the Masjid Istiqlal. And even if there are like something, those kind of like pesantren, those on and so forth, it only exists in the form of pesantren kilat. Well, we know pesantren kilat only, the market of the pesantren kilat is only for the junior high school students or even the high school students. Not everyone can tap into the current system that exists in Indonesia. That is why we provide you this kind of tourism, where every family members can actually tap into this kind of tourism. The moment we can tap into this kind of tourism people, we have those kind of market expansion. We can able to actually tap into more market, especially when we are creating a partnership with the Traveloka, since we know that Traveloka is the most popular traveling application in the Southeast Asia. Like a lot of users is having those kind of Traveloka to begin. So I don't think so. At the end of the day, what we are trying to say that exactly how tourism is going to be better under the house, and it's going to solve those kind of problems, and we can attract the investor to begin with.
So I would like to add up that you stated that our solution is actually not answering the HR problems. So actually, the point is we already have the resource. They already have the events. You just have to make it public. So therefore it is not hard to implement.
Okay, thank you, team.
Sorry guys, but your time is up.
Time's up. All right. I'd like to give the next activity to next floor to B1 now. Please address one challenge to another team, just one team. You have 3 minutes after your first greetings finish. The floor is yours, B1.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. We would like to ask a questions to Borju. So our question is, Borju, why do you think VBA is the best solution for the manual process problems? Because the first point, we know that VBA-based technology is actually easy to be manipulated and has a high possibility of fraudulence, because the developer needs to build as much as validation as possible in anticipation for the possible corruptions. Therefore, it has high possibility of fraudulence. And second of all, VBA is an outdated language that released in 1993, where no longer is actually familiar with it anymore. Plus, it's only integrate the cells in your mini market. Why don't you use more sophisticated applications that integrate the whole sales? And the fact that other platforms, for example, let's say Odoo, is customizable to meet the specific needs for NH and quickly expand the functionality when it's needed. So when NH grows, as they grow, we can add more functionality. So why do you think VBA is still the best? Because we know, first, it has a limited resource. Second, it is an outdated application where no one is no longer familiar with the language. And then the third one, it is because it doesn't use internet, which means it can't integrate other sales platforms. Therefore, actually, VBA is limiting the possibilities of any further growth from NH.
Second question, I was talking about the platform that you are going to use in order for you to promote your own solution to begin with. You say that you want to heavily rely on the platform that NH has, for example, the website, the YouTube, or even the Instagram called Explore Indonesia. I'm talking about the feasibility, how you're able to actually tap into a bigger market to begin with, because we know at the status quo, yes, NH rely on the current platform, but the problem is they're facing those kind of stagnancy. They're unable to actually tap into the bigger picture to begin with, because in comparison with our solution, for example, using the FB, Facebook, or even the Traveloka itself, it already having a bigger market exposure to begin with. Why do you want to only rely on the current platform that NH has? That is the second question. Last question. I'm talking about how at the end of the day, you're going to actually want to having a collaboration with the local coffee supplier in Banyumas to begin with. First, I'm talking about what is the difference with the current status quo, because the current status quo and how already collaborate with the local supplier. So I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, B1. You are muted now. Borju, please. It's your time to answer.
Kemana aja? Kita langsung di mute ya.
Ini pause dulu kan ya? This is pause first, right?
The committee.
Yeah.
I think B1 still have like 49 seconds left.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think we started to. Okay, thank you. Continue.
All right. Please, B1.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. Regarding to the local supplier of coffee, first, what is the difference with the status quo? Because and how they collaborate with the local suppliers of the coffee. But second of all, why you choose the supplier coming from the BINUS? Because if we know the specialty of coffee is not coming from the BINUS, it's coming from the Aceh or even the Sumatra or even the Toraja itself. Why your solution, when you're going to rely on this coffee so much, is able to actually generate new sales or even compete with another coffee suppliers in other areas to begin with. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, B1. And then Burju, pause time for 2 minutes. And then after that, I'll give 4 minutes to Burju to respond B1's challenge. Okay, the pause time can be started 2 minutes from now. Okay, the 2 minutes is up. I'd like to welcome Team Borju to respond B1's challenge in 4 minutes time.
Okay.
Borju, the floor is yours.
Okay, so for the first question regarding the VBA and also Excel administration system, the first one you said that it is an old language. The fact, okay, it is old, but we cannot neglect the fact that it is still very commonly used in industries. Even big companies such as Deloitte, and also other big enterprises still use this VBA and also Excel-based administration system. We cannot neglect that. It is not as that as you think. The language is also very easy to learn. And also, this is not a concern for ENHA itself because we use third-party developer to develop this VBA-based administration system. Also, we cannot neglect that the CSV and also Excel data can be used for further improvement if ENHA were to use ERP in the next future. Okay, so. Maria, you can continue to answer the question.
Okay, so your question about how to bring in the customer. First of all, our exposure is not only limited to our personal social media on ENHA, but also exposure with the branding of Desa Langgong Sari, in which we are already establishing a partnership with them. Hence, when people are visiting Desa Langgong Sari as a tourist, they will be offered package to visit Enhamart, for example, and they will be get exposed of what is Enhamart. It is part of their tourism packages, and they are going to visit our mart, and they're going to see what is actually going on. They're going to be exposed to our local products, coffee, honey, etc. It is also one of the most beneficial marketing strategy in which we already we are partnering with an already established tourism attraction. It is really different from in the case in which we are going to establish our own name by ourselves, because it means that we also have to start from zero on the branding, on the tourism, and etc. It is relatively it is in the case of exposure, since Desa Langgong Sari already has its own visitors in the past and even in the present, we can attract them to come to our store and our other facilities when those visitors are coming to Desa Langgong Sari to begin with. But second of all, you guys are undermining on the effectiveness of social media marketing. But we said according to Badan Statistik Indonesia, actually a lot of local tourists in Indonesia gets exposed about information on tourism, first from family and friends, and second from social media. And considering that Explore Indonesia has 100K following, with people following them are most probably those that like tourism, those that would like to travel, we said that there is a bullseye marketing in which we are going to expose our our products and our Enhamart traveling right onto the market that actually wants to see and want to explore the beauty on Indonesia, for example. That is why we don't think.
Hello.
Okay, maybe another group member can cover up.
Okay, to answer the third question on why we choose to go for the being coffee supplier solution. First, what's the difference from the status quo is that now we do sell NH coffee to local stores, but it is the package version, the 200 grams package version that we sell on the store in the packaging. But what's different after our solution is that we sell it directly as the ingredients of the coffee that is sold in those coffee shops. And by that, it means that we sell more quantities than we did before this solution. And most coffee shops in average uses about 40 kilograms of coffee packs a month. And imagine if we can supply like 50%.
Thank you for the I think your time is up.
Okay,
the 4 minutes is up already. Thank you for the effort from and response from the team Borju. I'd like to give the opportunity also to you, to team Borju, to address a challenge to another team in the next 3 minutes. Borju, the floor is yours.
Okay. So we would like to ask some questions for Pasti Bisa team. First, we believe that the funding solution of your P2P lending solution and donation contradicts NHA's mission. As stated in the case, NHA has a mission to become self-reliant in supporting its day-to-day operational costs. The reason is because donation has an unstable and unpredictable nature. It completely relies on the good heart and the capital availability of the donors. So these two factors are very uncontrollable. So please explain why you choose for this solution instead of self-reliant methods, which means shifting from the very basic principle of NHA on being self-reliance. The second is that during COVID-19, data from fidelitycharity.org shows that 55% of donors will not increase their giving level during the pandemic. So how will you ensure that this very limited amount of donors will prefer NHA over other causes such as COVID-19 victims and medical staffs, and as well as other Islamic boarding schools to donate to?
Okay. Our next point is about the digital and cashless payment. With the use of internet-enabled fintech such as Ovalink, Ajay, and others, we would like to ask about the urgency and also the feasibility. Here are some of our justification. The first one, beside KKN students, you have no plan on attracting new customer for Enhamart. Hence, the market target stays the same. The current main customer only consists of locals and perhaps students, and they do not have the urgency or they do not have the access to internet to do OFO and order fintech payment because of the poor connection. Plus, there's no urgency to shift and use the internet-enabled fintech or cashless payment. So, who will use your system on cashless payment, and how exactly will this system would work, as the internet is an external factor that NHA cannot solve for now? Our next question is, our third point is on the feasibility of how you would increase local community engagement. How will you shift the deeply rooted behavior of local community to shop in traditional markets simply by allowing them to sell in mart and membership? Because membership benefits are basically as the same as discounts that come from tawar menawar, if I may, in traditional market and local mosque religious event, especially when traditional mart offer other preferable customs as well as direct interaction with various sellers. So, how effective this local community engagement is compared to the existing conventional market. Thank you. That is all from Burju.
Okay, thank you, Tim Boju, for the challenge addressed to Pasti Bisa. And I'd like to give another 2 minutes pause for Pasti Bisa to prepare their response. Okay, time is up for Pasti Bisa, and I'd like to give you the 4 minutes time to respond Boju's challenge. Pasti Bisa team, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for Tim Borju. That I want first to explain about the funding solution of peer-to-peer lending. That our objective is we want to increase the funding and also the business financing. That one of our things is you do donation purpose and also the donation purpose and also the business financing through industry. First, donation purpose. That now also, and High itself is also have regular donors for the for the donation purposes. But in the other hand, there have several problems. Some problems with this. The first problem is they don't have the regulators don't have another source of funds. That's why we propose it with donations in terms of zakat. The zakat is one of the point that could be used for NHA to increase its operations, not only not for the business but only for the organization, which is the NHA itself, internal of the Nurul Huda. And then second is for the peer-to-peer planning platform. That why we could want to invest it, because first investment is one of the things that could propose or promote another solutions, which is this is one not only the one of the revenue streams. But this is one of the things that we would use for the investment, and also the other things it will use to promote the NHA in the other hands. And then for the revenue stream itself, if you say that it is not stable, we don't propose this into source revenue, the main revenue streams. We propose it into another revenue stream, such as we propose go to Mil Nyambungan, and also we increase market communities, local market, and also these things will enhance the ability for the funding itself, for the revenue for NHA. And then the second is for during COVID-19 problems, the 50% is decreased. It is the same with your tourism, both of the teams tourism problems. COVID-19 is one of problems. So why you address this funding problem if you have your own problems with the COVID-19? And for the funding itself, it is I've said before, it is not only our revenue streams. So basically, this is only for the donations from zakat.
All right. For the third question, the payment method is aimed to be implemented in NH Mart and Nyambungan, taking into account one of the problem of achieving customer satisfaction, which is one of the main problems stated in the case, clearly stated in the case. Therefore, we provide a streamlined customer journey, seeing that the most payment methods are now done cashlessly. And we did a prior fact check through their Instagram account, saying that NH Mart is a pretty developed mini market, and that the surrounding of this Salangong Sari are very likely to have mobile phones and these payments method as well. And then for the membership, the membership, other than giving discounts, it also gives a closeness value to the community. Other than discounts, they are also given benefits of regular gatherings and religious events to enhance the closeness of the community to NH residents, therefore enhancing the overall value of NH.
I also want to add my friend's answer. So about the community development around NH, we didn't only give them easiness throughout transaction by giving membership and other discounts, but we also provide them assistance for the community throughout our plasma farmer programs. We also provide them with assistance and also giving them education how to care for their farms. Also about the OVO limitation with internet, we want to clarify that our solution about OVO is for increasing our channel, adding our channel for payments to our outer area of NH, not for the students. So it's not going to be limited by the internet connection. Thank you.
That's why we could come up with the solutions will be able to be implemented by NH, and it will be beneficial by NH rather than the other solutions that only focus on the larger things but not on the operational and also the marketing to increase the awareness for NH itself. Thank you. That's from our team, Pasti Bisa.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pasti Bisa team. And I'd like to, ask the very good applause from everyone for the very good job activity for today. And as I mentioned, since after the answer from the Pasti Bisa team, as it also signifies at the end of our third and final segments of today's activity, and because the today's activity is finished, then I'd like to give our judges some time before we announce who is going to be the winner of today's activity. So without further ado, I'd like to give the floor back to the committee at FX, and then after that I'll see you in I'd like to welcome committee to inform when we're going to back, and then after that when is the the announcements of the activity as well. So the committee floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sir Indra. Now the judges will go to the breakout room to discuss for the top one, the first winner, second winner, and the third winner. And then the participants will still remain in the main room. Okay, thank you.